Hello everyone, my name is B or Onyx Nova Cosplay, and welcome to my YouTube channel where I make cosplays, crafts, and other weird crap. And today, it's kind of a connection to the last episode. Last episode you saw me make Sam's lollipop from Trick or Treat, and this episode you're going to watch me make Sam! I love him so much. This is a Piggy Bank that is Sam-shaped, friend-shaped, and I love him very dearly. I hope you enjoy as we sit back, relax, and I show you how I made our cute little new friend. So my base for this project is a cute little piggy bank that I got from the Hispanic section of the grocery store like ages ago. When I got it, it had these little like non-alcoholic jello shots in it. It was also a piggy bank, so I was like, it's the perfect 2-for-1, I'm buying it, and yes, the jello was good. I ate too many of them and got sick the first day. The first thing I did was give this bad boy a coat of white paint from good old Apple Barn, you know that's literally all I use. I also popped the belly off and the glue that was attaching it because his little jumpsuit in the movie does not have a little belly line, and so I wanted to remove it so there was no little tummy outline. I also wasn't sure how I was going to go about doing the head at this point, so I just wanted to make it white to be safe. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with it yet, but I knew I didn't want pink to poke through, so I decided a white base was a good place to start. So if you didn't know, sandpapering down plastic actually makes paint adhere to it better, and when I was starting this project I realized that I no longer had sandpaper, so I was just gonna have to put a lot of coats of paint on this to make it look alright. And I figure that's okay, but I should probably go get some sandpaper soon. Then once it was all dried, I painted the body orange, the same orange that I used as the lollipop if you saw that video from last week. I left his little feet white because I wasn't sure what I was gonna do with those yet, but we will get back to them later. And once that orange paint dried, I went back and painted his little patches onto him. I started with the white, but then I had to wait for that to dry, so I went ahead and painted his little hands and feet a nude color, similar to the skin tone he has in the movie. Then I finally put 2 and 2 together and realized what I wanted to do with his head, so I painted it nude to cover up the white in case some of it peeked through the fabric, because I wasn't quite sure how this fabric was going to lay on this, and I didn't want any white peeking through. Also yes, the paint did in fact start to peel, but it does not matter because I was covering that face with brown fleece. I've literally had this brown fleece for possibly a decade. I needed it gone. I was gonna use burlap like he actually has, but I did not actually have enough burlap to make that happen, so I said screw it, we're just gonna use this brown and he'll still be adorable, and guess what, he is. Spoiler alert. My first attempt was to cut the brown into strips, just to see what that would look like. So I started gluing them down with hot glue, but then I realized that I actually hated the strips, and so I took the larger portions of the fleece that I had left and measured them onto the head directly just so I could get the exact measurements. I then took those felt pieces and lined them up where the seams were on the head, so when they overlaid it looked intentional. I made sure to cut that little gap for the coins as well, because we will be putting coins in this bad boy eventually. I made sure the felt was taut on his head so that way it looked nice and smooth. There are a couple little bumps here and there, but it gives him character. And I'm not gonna lie, it oddly felt like I was wrapping a Christmas gift around his ears while I made this. I know it's too early to talk about Christmas, but that's what it felt like. Next up is his body, and more specifically his neck area. I glued some fleece onto the front and back of his body to mimic how the bag hangs over his shoulders. Then I took more fleece and I put it around the head to cover the awkward gap at the bottom of the head. So on to the patches. I took some golden brown paint and mixed them together for the color of the patches, and then realized it was too dark, so I took some yellow and gold to paint the patches and then used the gold and brown that I had as stitching on the patches once it all dried. Next up, it is time to make those button eyes. Now you could skip this step by finding some big old buttons, but I wanted to use some of the materials I had left because boy howdy, I am all about recycling. So I took a bottle cap that was around the size that I wanted for these buttons and I traced them onto some scrap foam about 4 times. Then I cut those bad boys out and hot glued 2 of them together each to make those buttons just a bit thicker. I somehow completely forgot to record me painting them black, but I did paint them black, and then I took some gold cording and I laid it around the edges to make it look more like the raised edge of a button. And of course I repeated that on the second button as well. Next up was his little feet, while those buttons were drying. So I traced the shape of the foot onto an old card. I think it's an old Pokemon card. Not like an actual card, but like one of those code cards. Don't panic. Then I took that shape and traced it onto the fleece 2 times so that way he could have a cute pair of matching little shoes. I glued those little bad boys onto the soles of his feet and then decided that I should make him some matching fingerless gloves, which look more like they're just cuffed to the sleeves. But you know what? That's okay. That's okay. He's so cute. I did in fact have to trim the gloves down to size a couple of times because otherwise they were going to take over his whole little hand. And now we go back to the buttons. So I wanted to put another coat of black paint all over it because 1, that gold is simply too much for this project. And 2, there was so much red poking through on the initial coat of black paint that I had done that I needed to go back and cover it up even more. So it was a solid black. And while that paint was drying, it was time to put some fake stitches on that head. So his actual head in the movie is a burlap sack, but I did not have enough burlap for that, so I decided to fake that look by taking some of the leftover string from my Blair Witch Stickman project. I will leave a link somewhere for you. And I cut it into small pieces and then glued them down with tacky glue and then laid it across the seams to make it look like it was sewn down. Then I took even more of that gold cording and painted it a more nudish brown color to try and make it match that string as much as I could. And once that cording was dried, I took it and tied it around his little neck to mimic the little tie on his little bag. I took some of the rest of that cording that I had and laid it across the buttons in an X shape to mock the stitching of the buttons, and then I glued them onto the head. Then I took the rest of that cord and put it on the wrist of the glove. And now for the reveal. I love how this little man turned out. He's just so cute and precious and friend-shaped, and I am just so obsessed with the fact that I have a piggy bank that fits my aesthetic now. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like on this video, comment down below who you would make as a cute little piggy bank. Subscribe if you're new here. And thank you all so much for hanging out during my Halloween little extravaganza. It was fun doing an episode a week, but I'm probably going to go back to once every other week. It's been a lot trying to get these out, but we'll see. I'm kind of on a roll right now. We'll see what happens, but thank you guys again. I'm so thankful you guys stuck out to the end of the video. It means so much to me that you guys support my silly little hobby. It warms my heart. So thank you guys so very much, and I will see you all in the next video, whatever that is. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.